Anyway, joining us right now on the program, so glad to have with me, we have Attorney General Ken Paxton from Texas, where they're working hard to do a lot of things that the Democrats probably don't like. But Ken Paxton, I credit you guys for taking a lot of chances here and taking on a lot, because you guys have a lot on your plate in that great state.
Well, thank you. It's great to be on, and certainly true. We do have a lot to deal with, and we're a big state, and we have a lot of issues, and a lot of them are caused by the federal government, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I want to get to some of the specifics on that. But before we do, your reaction, your legal reaction to what just happened to the former president of the United States.
It's incredible. It's not surprising to me. I mean, I've seen this happen to a lot of other people, a lot of other conservatives. It's the judicial system, particularly the criminal justice system, is no longer about justice. It's about taking down your political enemies and tainting them, making them spend money, ruining their lives. And that's exactly what I see happening here. This guy ran on a promise: I will find something. And this is exactly how the Soviet Union used to do it. There was a head of their CIA or whatever their secret police was, said, "Show me the man, I'll show you the crime." That's the status of American civil justice these days, and especially in many of our large cities. And we are in trouble if we allow this to continue to occur.
Your thoughts on Jim Jordan now getting sued by Alvin Bragg, the DA in New York. Of course, Jim Jordan wanted some transparency into this investigation. He was requiring that they turn over a lot of documents so that he could understand where they were coming up with this case. And he even was subpoenaing somebody who wasn't necessarily one of Bragg's biggest fans, a guy who used to work for him in terms of some of his legal decisions. He wanted to hear from him directly. Bragg's now suing, saying, no, I don't want him. I mean, come on. It feels like total bedlam, a total circus, but your impression of the Jordan-Bragg situation now?
Not surprised Bragg doesn't want transparency. Not surprised he doesn't want anybody meddling in his supposed case, because there's a lot of, we all know there's a lot of problems with his cases, and he hasn't been open about even what the actual crimes are. So, supposedly it related to federal funds, and that obviously is the purview of our Congress and our federal government. So,
absolutely. So then therefore they would have jurisdiction, right? I mean, one has to sort of debate the DA going in there and looking at the federal stuff, but I would think Congress would have the right to say, wait a second, if this is a federal issue, we need to be involved.
I think he made it a federal issue. I mean, he wasn't basing his underlying crime, we don't think, on state law. That he was suggesting that it was election law related, which, this is a federal issue. Okay. So that he actually opened the door for Congress to come and look at it, and maybe he wasn't telling the truth, and he shouldn't have said that. But now he's created the problem.
Turning to the border, you guys have just felt the brunt of it in so many enormous ways, both from a crime perspective, also just a financial perspective, right? Because you've got to somehow deal with all these displaced kids and their families and individuals coming in. It's remarkable to me that in the United States of America, we don't have a federal government that's willing to take this on in a bigger way. It's all being put effectively on the back of Texas. And you guys get caught having to spend all the money. But by the way, not only just spend the money, but you're not even allowed to enforce, as I understand it, the border rules as you guys might want.
So it's even, I think, worse than how you characterize it. This isn't just like they're just not doing their job. This is like them affirmatively saying, hey, cartels, we want you to bring as many illegals here as possible. We will accept them. You don't even have to run. Just turn them over to us. Say the magic word, asylum. We'll send them around the country. You can do all your human trafficking. The border will be pretty open for drugs. A lot of kids are going to die. We want you to get all the drug. I mean, basically, they're in partnership with the cartels, telling them, if you can bring the people here, in other words, you can make a lot of money. The more you bring, the more we'll take. There's no limit.
It seems to me you want to do everything you can to prevent the illegal immigration and encourage the legal stuff.
So our elected representatives put together laws, and they've been doing it since the founding of our country, that the president has to follow. And it's not his job to come in and say, well, I don't like the laws passed by the elected representatives. I'm not following those laws. I don't have to. I'm no different than whatever, Venezuela or Cuba. I can do what I want. That's kind of what he said. He said, I don't follow laws because I don't like them. And I'm not going to do that. That's not our constitutional republic. We don't have a constitutional republic. Our elected leaders don't matter if the president can just overrule them. And that's what he's doing with immigration. He's saying, I don't like the system. We don't let enough people in. We should let millions of people in. They should be from the countries that I pick, and they can have a criminal background. As a matter of fact, I want them here if they have criminal backgrounds. He's literally fighting us over this. He wants the criminals. So
Come
that
on. No. I mean,
no,
come
it's
on.
true. We are in a lawsuit where we are suing him because he is allowing criminals in, and we're saying, at the very least, break every other law, but don't break that one. Do not bring the criminals. So all these countries
That is
are
unbelievable.
sending their criminals, and Joe Biden's saying, send more. Keep them coming.
What do you think? I mean, not to be too conspiratorial here, but what do you think it's really about? I mean, why would any sane person want criminals in the country? Why would they want drugs in the country? Let's just, forget politics for a second, or maybe it is politics that's dictating this, but why would any sane person?
Well, you're also talking about terrorism too, the potential of terrorism, people, cells being.
Sure.
I can't think of any good reason like, oh, I love America or I love the people of America. This isn't about that. There's no good thing coming out of this for America. This has another agenda, and I think it's to get votes in the long run. I think it's to get as many problems in the state of Texas, state of Florida, any of the Republican states. We have to pay for it. It hurts our economy. It hurts our criminal justice system. It creates more, crimes and damage. And unfortunately, it's hard to say that they don't want that because they're bringing it in. I think they want damage to Republican states.
Anyway, ESG. This is a biggie for you. It's a biggie for me. I look at what's going on. I mean, Bud Light, give me a break. I'm sorry. Like last I checked, first of all, the beer is terrible, but most folks that drink it are probably the fratty boys that they didn't like, right? So they want to get away from fratty boys and they wanted to diversify their brand, but they also wanted something else. They wanted a strong ESG score over at AB InBev because there's a company, which you know well, and I know that you've written them letters, Larry Fink, who runs BlackRock. BlackRock controls so much of the investing world. I mean, they have nearly the size of US GDP under management, biggest asset management company in the world. And they came up with this idea that you had to have a good ESG score, environmental social governance, in order for big pension funds, including probably the one that's in your state there, to invest in your company. So now, instead of actually saying, maybe we want to make money, companies are like, okay, what can we do to up our ESG score and be more politically correct and improve our carbon footprint, et cetera? Well, that's a problem for a whole lot of reasons, including our capitalist foundation, but it's a problem in Texas because you got a lot of oil companies there. So what do you guys do about that? I have a lot to say on this. Forgive me. You will too. But I really think the answer to this is when states like Texas, and Florida's doing the same, I believe Kansas did too, they start to push back and say, you know what? We're not going to invest in BlackRock. Our pension funds are not going to invest with BlackRock if BlackRock won't even put money into big energy companies right here in the state of Texas that would employ people and benefit our state.
Yeah, so there's definitely more we can do in Texas. Our legislature could pass something very similar to what Florida did. I think there's efforts to have that happen in this session. We'll see what happens. But we do have a provision that was passed last session where if a company, bank wants to issue public debt and they have these discriminatory policies based on being anti-oil and gas or energy production, they can't issue debt in Texas, and it will cost them business in Texas. And so I think that's the right step, because what these people are doing is they are basically causing the average American to have less money to retire on, because their investments now aren't about making money. They're about satisfying a political agenda. And unfortunately, there's 152 million people, Americans, I think, in the ERISA programs, where the Biden administration is trying to push this ESG stuff. That means that some people can't retire. Everybody's going to have less money, and they're all going to be worse off, all because they want to punish oil and gas and other industries that they don't find favorable in their personal views.
So what's your biggest concern right now for Texas? Because I know everybody wants to move there. Everybody's like leaving California and they're going to Texas or they're going to Florida. You have been historically a very red, very dependably red state. Is any of that at risk?
Yes, I think we get two major problems. Our property taxes are way too high, and two, this district attorney thing could sabotage our ability to have fair elections. And if we lose that ability, which is going to happen, I think, relatively soon, unless they reauthorize my ability to go after voter fraud, we're going to lose elections, because in these large counties, they can do whatever they want, because guess what? Jose Garcia is not going to prosecute it. And everybody's going to know that you can commit as much voter fraud in Texas as you want. And we're going to lose elections with voter fraud.
Do you have a state law requiring identification when you go to vote?
We do. But the problem is, if you know you can cheat with mail-in ballots, which are a pretty easy way to do it, then there's nothing we can do to stop it. I had the ability to prosecute voter fraud. It's the legislature passed it in 1951. The Court of Criminal Appeals, which is our highest court on criminal matters, struck that down 2 years ago, saying that I, as the Attorney General, because of separation of powers, did not have the ability to go to court.
Wow.
Now, that's ridiculous. That means every Attorney General is violating the Constitution in the
So it
country.
can be like a total free-for-all.
That's what they designed here. They knew that if they took my ability out, that it was a free-for-all for voter fraud. And that was our Republican Court of Criminal Appeals. Now, nobody really knows who they are. We're going to find out about who they are, but they're not your standard Republican, that's for sure.
So how do you get to the bottom of that?
So the legislature's trying to repass the law, and we've got these members of the court. There's 9 of them. They're up every 6 years, 3 of them at a time. There was only one good vote on that, a guy named Kevin Urey. The other 8 need to go. So the next election, we've got to be informed, because nobody was informed about who was on the court.
Wow. No, I mean, it's incredible. It's so much coming at you. As I said in the beginning, it's a big state, and a lot of things can kind of slip by. And unless you're all over it, you run certain risks. So keep it up. Attorney General Ken Paxton joining us. So good to see you, sir. I hope to talk again soon.
Hey, thank you. Have a great day.